with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me. I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili, from young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats. Circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's the reach. We ready. Who ready?
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the 1-on-1 Sports Show. Appreciate y'all for joining us. How's it going, fellas?
Hey,
Man.
goes good. Goes good.
All good, man.
What's up? How y'all doing?
All right.
It's Wednesday.
I see you have the proper framing. You see the 7B network on the bottom here with the bearded brothers up top with the caps on. So we rock our boldness proud. We don't
you know them Texas boys. You know they ain't gonna give up no leverage.
Yes,
they
sir.
They ain't give up no leverage. They ain't gonna give it up.
Trey, I'll be waiting to see what background you're gonna have every week. Last time somebody said it looked like you was going to the pearly gates.
Yeah, I'm just trying to change.
Now you're on the blacktop.
That's it.
Yeah, the blacktop. Yes, sir.
All right, so I figure. Oh, the light done turned off. I figure, Mr. Bennett, once again,
you rolling.
We starting off with your squad. They appear to be making some big moves, so I just filled everybody in with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know we was talking about Justin Fields for the longest of, where the Bears going to keep him, if they trade it, what team he's going to go to, and then also on the other side, what will the team have to give up to get Justin Fields? And we over here looking like, I don't think many of us was expecting the first round pick. We was looking at a second, no later than a third, but at least a second. And we always wrong on that one. They said him damn near he was down there on the street corner when Pittsburgh picked him up.
Right.
What, 6th round pick and then have a chance to go
conditional
4th
6th round in 25. It'll go to a 4th round if he plays 50% of the snaps next year. So right now it's basically a 6th round pick we gave him up for.
Yeah, hats off to what you said the name of the general manager was, Mr. Bennett?
Omar Khan, AKA the con artist, they call him.
The con artist. I like that. Because he's willing and dealing, and it's one of those deals where I saw a Bears fan was upset. Not so much that, okay, you can understand. It's been basically signaled that they were going to take Trey Fields and get him. But for you to, statements like, hey, we want to do right by him, there were other offers on the table. It clearly shows, look, if it was true that he said he wanted to go to the Steelers, he wanted to go to a stable situation. And my thing is, at this point, you can see that there has been a decline of Russell Wilson. We feel like, and obviously the Steelers do as well, he can win this year, but you always need a backup quarterback. Kenny Pickett was right there and touted, so he had to go. So it's like now you get a stable organization, a good head coach, and now if he plays the 17 games or the bulk of the season, Justin Fields can just sit back, work with Arthur Smith, and kind of, learn the offense, get with it. The Steelers are gonna have weapons. They got Freiermuth, they got Pickens. I like the moves. Matter of fact, I'll be honest with you. I'm jealous because it's like, dang, what does it look like to have a front office making moves?
Right.
But I say hats off to them. Because you're supposed to get better in all three phases. They made trades, they made free agent signings, and the draft is about a month or so away. So I say hats off to the Steelers, man. I mean, they're rival and everything like that, but you got to give credit where it's due.
Yeah. No, it's been an exciting time, and the fact that they're taking, guys are willing to come there. I think that's partly. I think that's the Tomlin effect. The fact you got Patrick Queen, who could have easily got $18, $19, $20 million probably on the market. We saw them for a 3-year, $14.2 billion per a year. So that was an environment, and then he brought his boy in from Miami, the DB. He brought him in on top of that, who's a guy we need because we want to need someone in strong safety so he can play inside, he can play safety position. That allow Minkah Fitzpatrick to get back to being a roamer, so he could be more of a ball hawk. So that kind of dominoed in, and then you figure with Russell going there, and again, I think the environment for Fields, I think he's coming in knowing that he's probably going to be the backup for this year. So it's not going to be any kind of major controversy. Now, if he balls in the offseason or whatever before the season starts, that's another story. But he's not coming in expected to be the starter. And so I think just that environment that they've created is such where they're definitely looking to do some big things over the next couple of years. I mean, I love the press conference of Russell Wilson, where basically all the main DBs, they had dinner. They got on it was supposed to be a 15-minute conference call, turned into a nearly 2-hour conference call, and they had dinner with those guys, Cam Hayward, his brother, Minkah Fitzpatrick, all those guys that night. So they're already open, kind of welcoming him with open arms. And so already it's definitely a breath of fresh air compared to his last couple of years in Denver. So I think that the climate that they're creating is really something that's really drawing players. And let's not forget, even with the Kenny Pickett trade, they even made out because they swapped their third round pick. They had the 120th pick in the third round. They moved up to 98. So they improved their draft stock by getting an earlier third round pick with that. And now they're actually shopping to see that. I know Ayuk from San Francisco, he's being mentioned as a possible landing spot for them. So imagine Ayuk and George Pickens at wide receiver. I mean, they're making some boss moves, but you can do that when you brought in 2 starting quarterbacks for $4.62 million. So I mean, let's think about that. Russ is 1.2, and then Fields is I think $3.6 million for this year, and then they can kick this down the road and visit next year. So that's allowing them to have the extra money to play around. But again, Tomlin because Tomlin is a guy, he's taking chances on sort of retreads in the past. Where remember, this is the guy he brought Michael Vick in, who when a lot of people weren't even trying to feel Vick at the time, brought him into Pittsburgh. So you got that. Russell's from the VA. So Mike has got a lot of love for Virginia area, so brought him in and whatnot. So I think Omar's done his work, but I think the fact that knowing that Tomlin's there, Ayuk is already talking. I didn't even recognize that they say Ayuk looks a lot like Mike Tomlin. Like they're almost, if you put a picture of Mike Tomlin and Ayuk together, they're almost like twins. So he's putting overtures already out there that he wants to go to Pittsburgh. So he's already making that move. And if he's willing to come to us for, because he can command, probably again easily 15 if not 20 on the open market. If we can get him in on a reasonable deal, then that's going to be a dope receiving core. Your running game's there, so when you go into the draft, you can focus on again the needs. They need a center and they need a right tackle, so they can so that first 2 or 3 draft picks, they can focus on where they need to. Otherwise, if they don't get another receiver in, then they may have to go with the number 1 pick at wide receiver, or possibly a second round at wide receiver. So they're trying to see if they can get the Ayuk deal done as well. So you can make these kind of moves when you're not paying your starting quarterback $40-50 million. And
I'm surprised Ayuk is looking at them though. I mean, I don't know if he's trying to look at like the grass is green on the other side. But I'm like, dude, you already on a perennial winner right now.
He good, where he's
he is, but I think if anything, if he's looking to go somewhere, he may have heard that you outplayed your salary slot that they had slotted for you. Because I know teams will do that, whatever, think, hey, this guy's going to cost this much, and everybody plans out the salary cap. And with them, it's either that or they'll have to get rid of somebody else. They had to get rid of, Deebo Samuel. So because Ayuk is the best receiver on the team. Deebo is the best weapon on it. Well, between him and McCaffrey, so he's one of the best weapons on the team. But as far as pure receiving, Ayuk is better. So if I was there, I would keep. If I was, John Lynch, I would keep Ayuk versus I would keep,
right.
Samuel.
Plus Debo's he's had an injury history. So I mean, he's a physical player. So you just don't know how much longer he's going to be able to hold up over that course of time. So that's something to be considered. I know KP. Shout out to KP from KC5. Definitely. I think the Steelers. I think they'll grab one. But they don't have to invest the first and second round. If they can get like an Ayuk, they don't have to invest the first or second rounder, which is what they're kind of looking at. They can go for like a 3rd, 4th round, get a slot receiver, and bring him in. But if you got if you bring him in, you're basically a lock on the edges, and then it's finding the route runner to be on the inside. But that's the thing. I have no doubt that they're going to select most likely a receiver in the 3rd or 4th, but. conversation can change though.
What is Pittsburgh's first round pick? What number?
20th.
20th. They can find a good receiver within that round because there's a lot of good receivers.
That's it. But the thing is, their immediate need is they have no center.
Well, they got to get a lineman for number 1 pick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But a center can come in the second round.
First need is a center.
It is actually a good center. They say it's a good offensive line.
There's three legit top quality centers that can go either a late first round, early second. Jackson Powers Johnson is like the number 1. Then you got this guy Mims, I think from Georgia, and you got this other guy from West Virginia that they're also scouting. But then also again the tackle, because they want to move Broderick Jones. He played right tackle this year, but he was drafted to be a left tackle, so they want to move him over and bring a right tackle in. So again, they're also looking at those guys also. So definitely they want to fortify the lines, and especially with this Arthur Smith offense, they want to be able to run the ball also. So they definitely want to lock feed that line, do it like the Cowboys used to do it back in the day. Get those hogs going. So
I just wanted to say this. I know, and the Steelers didn't use this mantra, but they look like a team that's more all in than the Cowboys, because the way last season ended for them, yeah, they made the playoffs, but their offense was miserable, and they didn't want to stay in that, just roam that status quo. They we got to change this. This is not working. So they did something about it. And as a fan base, once you see your franchise actually, they're not going to sit in mediocrity. Just dwell in that. They're going to do something about it. They bring the quarterbacks and stuff like that. Make them, sign the free agents. You don't always have to go get a big name free agent, but get players that that could potentially make an impact on your team. And I see them doing that. But the Cowboys, they losing more players than that coming in.
But Sonny, that's the dynamic of the Pittsburgh Steelers since they've been in the NFL. They've always made the moves to make them a better team. It wasn't about
the Eagles. I respect that about the Eagles. They do that same thing.
But Pittsburgh's been doing it since they've been they've always seemed to be relevant every year. You can never you can go back even when they had their worst seasons. They still find a fucking way to make the playoffs by the hair of their skin. And it's not that they had a bad team. They just had probably some key injuries at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And if you look over the last 16, 17 years, that says a lot about who the head coach is and the GM, because they will make that move. And that's why I give shout out to Pittsburgh even now, because now, and y'all can do your research, when was the last time a team bought on 2 black starting quarterbacks at the same time?
I thought I would get to you before you did.
That's history.
And I think currently the Browns do they have 4 black quarterbacks when they run?
They got 4. They got 4. They got the kids that they drafted from UCLA. They have, obviously Deshaun Watson, and I want to say they got Jameis Winston, who they just signed.
Yeah, they just signed.
And I want to say, and they got Tyler Huntley from the Ravens. Yeah. And so, they covered themselves because, like I said last week, they covered themselves. Hey man, you got a black starter. The fastest way to get a mutiny, have a white backup. They said, man, we're gonna quadruple down, triple down on it. We're gonna get 3 backups that are black, and we're gonna figure out whose skill set is gonna work. And obviously one is gonna be the emergency quarterback, and somebody might get cut, somebody might get traded. That's a good team building. But I want to say my only thing is they gave Jerry Jeudy an extension.
Yeah, he's a top receiver.
I haven't seen him. I would say he has been more of a disappointment as far as what was expected. Is him being in the league. It's been a disappointment. Look now what I'm gonna say, Trey Burke, name the receivers that were drafted in that same draft with him. We're gonna take Ruggs off the board. Well, I'll tell you, Justin Jefferson was drafted after him. CeeDee Lamb was drafted after him. So those are just two.
But based off the body of work for college, though, Jeudy was that man in college, just based off.
No, he was, and that's what I'm saying. He was that man in college, and he hasn't done it at this level. To be honest, I thought the Raiders should have taken him first. I thought in that class at the time, I thought he was the best receiver in that draft. I didn't know Jefferson was going to be this good. You know, I didn't know. You know, I had high expectations for Lamb, but I didn't know he was gonna be this good. But
Right.
yeah, man,
Not
I
the
say
points rate they may still get because I'm really high on this guy Joe Milton III out of Tennessee. Again, I saw his combine. If you haven't seen his combine tape, you can't teach 6'5", 250, and he's got an arm he's got a howitzer for an arm. So I'm thinking if they bring him in, let him sit for a couple years and wait this thing out. So they may have an all black QB core going into next season. Yeah.
Shout out to the Steelers.
I know we got the topic of what you got on there about Mike McCarthy and Sean Payton, but I want to say, man, like props to guys being in the league because the money has gone up. Props to a guy like Aaron Donald, who's the all-time great. It's just like, look, my body's banged up. You know, presumably he's taken care of, and it's like, look, I'm going to go ahead and step away from the game.
Yeah, smart move. So I mean, he's made a ton of money. You know, he's got a Super Bowl ring, and he doesn't really have a lot to prove. He's going to go in first ballot Hall of Famer, all decade team, certainly from the 2010s. So I mean, he's got every statistical that you think he'd want, at his position. And the thing is, he's a tackle. I mean, you talk about like Joe Green type of status. I mean, everyone wants to be an edge guy and get the sacks and everything, but to do what he was able to do at the tackle position is
6'1", 280.
Yeah,
at 6'1", 280.
I mean, you look at. I mean, the guy got abs. He's 280 with abs. He's a freak athlete, man.
And that's why I say, you know what? As soon as I saw it, I was just like, look, he's had a lot of wear and tear on that body. He has to pay so much to maintain himself in the off season, and probably, to be real, has to put on weight and continue to try to gain throughout the season.
Yeah.
And the rigorous of guys, 50 pounds on you, wearing on you during the game. So, I say hats off to one of the greats, and he's definitely in the conversation of, hey, where does he land as far as
he's got to be. I mean, who you got? I mean, you got Joe Green. I guess Bob Lilly. He was a tackle, right? I mean, you guys are down.
Yeah, he's tackle.
So Bob Lilly, Joe Green. Who else? Reggie
White.
Reggie was the edge.
Reggie was an edge. Bruce Smith was an edge.
Even Warren Sapp.
Warren Sapp was an edge.
When I think of interior. When I think about great interior guys, I put like the Sapps in here. I put Donald in that kind of class.
Yeah.
What's going on, Marcus? Appreciate you checking us out, man.
Appreciate it.
It's man, just a great career. And it's funny what Kyler Murray said. He was just like, man, it's a great career. Please stay retired. I was like, yeah, man.
Salute you, black man. Thank you for
going on
platform for us. Appreciate you.
Appreciate that.
So I look Sean Payton and Mike McCarthy. What's the difference between them? One of them chunky and one of them small. That's the only difference.
So I was it was just something I'd be thinking about, especially during the season, and I'm watching and hearing about how people talk about even really before Denver, because now it's people have a different outlook on Peyton, the way the whole Russell Wilson thing went down. But people always spoke very highly of Sean Payton, especially, when he retired. Well, I don't even say retired. He just took a break from coaching, went to TV for a little bit. And then Mike McCarthy, when he got originally fired from Green Bay, then he had a little hiatus before coming back to Dallas. And the two, if I should have pulled up their.
I got them.
You got them?
I got the records.
Go ahead.
Go
ahead and spill those out between those two coaches.
All right. So Sean Payton, career regular season record of 160 and 97 with a 62% winning percentage, and a postseason record of 9-8. Obviously, the one Super Bowl ring. I see Mike McCarthy here as a career record of 167 and 102 and 2 ties. And I'm trying to get his career playoff records pulled up. But it's just like, when you think about it, they are extremely similar. And Trey Ferg, you said one's slim, one's heavier. I'll give you another one. One had a all-time great quarterback that wasn't an a-hole. The other one did. And that has a lot to do with his perception. Also, I will say this. As far as the Saints and winning that Super Bowl, I know he holds a special place, in
Oh,
the
yeah.
heart of Saints fans, and
Yeah.
led them through everything that happened with Katrina. So I know he has that stronghold with them. He had to go in where they had those 16 road games.
Mhm.
He is in a different place as far as where PR would go. Whereas
Right.
Mike, he's in Green Bay, heavy pressure situation, not a big media market, but a heavily covered team and a heavily noticed team. And when you have Aaron Rodgers, who's always in the headlines, and you have the end of Favre, so it's like he had some stickier quarterback situations.
Yeah.
And he came out looking, he won with them, but he was, both of them. I'll say this, both of them are stubborn. Both of them are really stubborn, and we're seeing that in their second stops where it's stuff
Right.
that they're like, "Hey, you need to do this." They'll do it for a little
So,
bit, and then they'll switch.
Well, I
so
give
can I ask you a
McCarthy.
question?
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Oh,
You got it.
No, the question is, what makes them so great winning one Super Bowl as a coach? I mean, that's my thing. What
Well,
makes the coach great if he won one Super Bowl? Yeah, a
Well,
lot
I
of
look at
coaches
it
win
like
one
this
Super Bowl.
because you compare it to a coach like Andy Reid. Andy Reid couldn't win one until he finally got with Mahomes. So it's a lot of media put a lot of pressure one night on the head coach to win a title. Uh, they still talk about Tomlin has one, and they still kind of look
yeah,
at that like he needs to get one more. But
And he's
yeah.
been to another one. Those other coaches have.
He's been
yeah,
into.
it just depends on it really. Like when Andy Reid got his, it was really celebrated because he was such a head coach so long. He got close, but when
He
he
was
finally
old as
broke
hell.
through, he finally broke through. It was really celebrated. Um, Sean Payton and Mike McCarthy, I don't, can't recall how long they was in the coaching ranks as a head coach before they finally won their first one. I don't think neither one of them was as long as Andy Reid. But
No,
yeah,
neither one.
it's something the media really. I don't even want to say the media because fan base do it too. They just don't really talk about head coaches as much as do like players. But
Right.
fan base do it too. They just judge everybody off a championship. So when they, coaches is basically strictly judged on winning losses.
Right.
So
So
when they
question,
win one, they give them credit.
based off the head coaches that have won the Super Bowl that won one Super Bowl over the last 15 years, who would y'all say is the best coach? I'm gonna tell you my pick.
I would say over the past 15 years, I'd
Say
say
just
Tomlin.
one
but-
Super Bowl.
I'll say Tom. Just one Super Bowl. It's only one coach that really won two Super Bowl. He's not in the league with the Giants. That was it. Everybody else only won one besides, with Brady.
But that was 20 years ago, right? You talking about
So-
Coughlin?
Yeah, they won two.
But
I think
2000,
he was-
2006, 2007 or something. Or,
Yeah,
or
that
That was like
Somebody
trying to go back.
2000.
everybody else just won one. So who would y'all say would be the best coach of those teams?
and he got
I'm gonna go-
Belichick.
How far are you going back?
Just go
He said
back
15
15, 20 years. Just go do that. 2006, 2000. The last time
You
the
probably
Giants
still
won
have
the
to-
Super Bowl.
You probably still have to pick
The
Belichick.
Giants won like 2012, I think, somewhere in there.
I'm talking about the one Super Bowl winning coaches. Who would be the best?
One Super Bowl winning
There's
coach.
only one coach that won more than one Super Bowl.
I have to go look because I can't think of off the top of my head.
I know Tomlin's obviously up there as far as that list. I would say he's up there, and then the other ones, it's like you said. That's why
He's
it's
the only
hard for
one that's
coaches to
still in
make
the
the Hall of
league.
Fame. It's hard for coaches to make the Hall of Fame because Doug Peterson won one, and he got fired. So it's just, he got fired a few years later, and it's just
Right.
so it's like, dang, who?
Right.
I want to say, I'm gonna say by default. I mean, not just default because I know how good of a coach he is. I'm gonna say Tomlin because
Yeah.
but then you got to look at. I would say this: championships mean a lot, but you got to look at like the total body of work and at least getting there. And you got to look at, hey, what's your playoff record,
Yeah.
or how many times did you at least qualify? Like and that's a big thing. And it's like Tomlin having the way of having a really difficult, for the history of the time he's been there. AFC North been really tough. And now the Bengals really coming on, and they're showing their dominance. So it's just like that's a really tough division. The Browns are trying like hell. So it's like for him to be continuously either come out on top or get a wild card spot. I would say, yeah, for
Well,
sure.
Peyton, let's give Peyton some credit. I mean, he has more. I mean, again, Steelers haven't won a playoff game since 2016, and Peyton's got 3 playoff wins since 2016. So, but again, he hasn't been to another Super Bowl. So, You can make the only thing the stain I would say on Peyton's record, and again, a lot of people don't talk about it, and they want to blame it on defense. I think Bountygate, which was the game that actually put them in the Super Bowl. I think Minnesota was poised to win that game, but certainly a bad bounce or whatever, and they were able to kick a field goal to win to advance to the Super Bowl. But that game seemed like was set up for Favre to go to another one that you hear about the stuff later on. So again, I don't know how much he knew. I knew they threw the defensive coordinator under the bus, but do you guys think that stains his record at all, the Bountygate, and therefore that Super Bowl win? Because again, had they not won that game, they wouldn't.
I don't know.
Not to me.
More than the DC, but I want to. Because it's really more of a defensive thing. Peyton, he just.
I mean, you're the CEO.
Yeah, you're the head coach,
it's on your watch.
It's all on you.
Yeah, it's on you.
It's on your watch.
It's on you when they have. My only thing with that is this. I think they were all the fall guys. They were all the patsies for that. Because growing up, hey man, like I'm not gonna lie, the football culture was, hey, take this guy out of the game. Mm-hmm. That was the culture of that time, especially with those guys because they're older than me, and so. A few, a generation or so ahead. So it's like, yeah, that was the thing. Like, hey, with a guy like literally on ESPN, they used to celebrate late 80s Eagles and Cowboys game was called Bountygate. And like, saying it was a bounty ball. It's like, so you can't sit here on one end and one of your business partners is promoting this, and then you're doing it for a couple extra bucks for guys, and it happens. But they got caught up in the wave of the concussions, and it's like, hey, we got to clean this up. So the culture shifted. They took, I don't think he should have been out a whole season, but they choose when they want to do certain type of punishments, because when you have people actually spying and cheating on people with video footage, you destroyed that. And you just moved away. So now Peyton and Saints fans had every right to be pissed off about that. I never agree with that.
Yeah, every right.
That was a brutal game, though. I mean, they were literally picking up Favre, and like I never saw, even going back to the 70s. I can't remember quarterbacks getting that abused, but they were literally picking up Favre and body slamming him. I mean, today, I mean, I know that's like, it's like 15 years ago. Today, those guys would have been ejected from the game for those kind of hits. I mean, if I was watching the game and I was blown away by the physicality of what was going on. So I thought it was even strange for that day, considering the punishment. So I mean, everybody had to have seen that. So I don't know if his hands are necessarily totally clean from that.
I'm looking at this comment that Alex made about Drew Brees was not considered a great quarterback. I mean, you can say he would not have been a Hall of Fame on other teams. You can literally say that about 98% of the quarterbacks that come in the league. It's always about I mean, Tom Brady, he went to another system and he won a Super Bowl. That's why he was Tom Brady. He's damn near a class by himself, But even the great quarterbacks, they had their majority of their success came on one team. You move Patrick Mahomes and move him to another squad, you may not get the same Mahomes. It's a whole system. It's the offense, the coach, and all that. So a lot of times where a QB gets drafted, obviously Drew Brees was not a fit in San Diego. Yeah, they consider him expendable because of his injury and whatnot. He worked like magic once he got down to New Orleans. So you can really say that literally about 98% of QBs that come in the league is really where they get drafted from. It's just like if you go in today's NFL, quarterbacks like Sam Darnold, who's the kid right now? Zach Wilson. Those QBs who already kind of I don't want to say a project, but they get drafted to these bad organizations. Hell, I hope that don't happen to Justin Fields. They get drafted by these bad organizations who do a poor job developing quarterbacks. It stains them. Now they damage goods. They just, hopefully they can go somewhere and resurrect their career in some way. But a lot of times, once they get stained by their initial draft team, it's hard to bring them back. But the ones who land on the squad, I use Trevor Lawrence. when he originally was drafted by the Jaguars, but Urban Meyer, they rinsed that off so quick. They rinsed that off so quick, and they got a new head coach. So basically, his second year, because that first one was just, you might as well consider his second season his rookie season.
Throw that out.
Yeah. You got to throw that out. And I want to take a point on what you backdoor on what you were saying. There's a lot of people that believe, even some of the greats like a Joe Montana, he needed to be placed in the right system. And I'll put for further context because it's more recent. Hey man, how many of those Super Bowls that Brady won, was it because of him or was it because of the system and everything that was set in place? Until the back half of those rings was that on Brady, because you got to remember, he won the first ones and it was just like, it was one of those where he got the Super Bowl MVP, but like a Super Bowl MVP is not equivalent to an NBA Finals MVP. Whereas like you can clearly tell the fingerprints that you put on this game. You can tell, hey, those 6 that Jordan got, he was that guy. Yeah. Very rarely do you get those questionable ones like Andre Iguodala. And I could go on that about that. That one always bothered me because I was like, I didn't really see it from watching that one. But like, everybody needs help and needs everything to go right. Breeze got in the right situation, and if you want to be honest about it, it looks like, not that Phillip Rivers was bad, but it just always looks bad that they got rid of you, and the guy they got rid of went to a really great situation and won a Super Bowl. And so it's like, hey, those things happen. And there's a lot of luck in winning championships and just everything fitting. Because what does it say about 98% of players need the right system? Only that small percentage can just win and go anywhere.
Right.
I use Michael Vick. Everybody, Michael Vick made his name when he was with the Falcons. But one thing Vick was not doing when he was with the Falcons, Vick was not really studying film.
Went in the playbook.
He wasn't in the playbook. Then he had, had to take his, time off for the dog thing. But once he came back with the Eagles, it was that situation that you saw seeing like a different Vick. And I say it was magic because he said McNabb was very responsible for that. And he's not even head coach. And of course, Andy Reid was. But he said McNabb was huge in getting him more in the book and whatnot. So just think if Vic had that type of influence in Atlanta, where he had somebody to, make him, instead of just depending on his athleticism, we would have seen a totally different Vic. So, yes, the system brings out the quarterback. Huh? What's that?
It's too hard in Atlanta to be all that. It's too hard to be studying. You got fucking Magic City. What you talking about?
And not to mention the era in which he was there, and the people outside of football that was in Atlanta at that time, and the things that was going on. That was a lot of
professional sports players be saying the same thing about Houston. Some of them they come down here and James Harden used it, I guess, as his advantage. They was in the strip club all the time, but yeah, Deshaun Watson was playing very good until all the hell broke loose with him. So, the system is pretty much 95% of determines a quarterback's success.
But let me ask y'all this: maybe I'm looking at it as a coach. If you draft a quarterback number 1, that's your first pick in the first round, whatever pick you got, do you think that it's more feasible for you to nurture your quarterback as a rookie that's coming in to be a starter, or you just wing that shit, just leave him to his own demise? Because I see the difference between black quarterbacks and white quarterbacks. You can see the difference. Some of these dudes are not as good as some of these black quarterbacks, but they get to stay in the league. Every black quarterback is not a starter coming into the league, but they put into these positions with really, it's either, make or break. Some of these quarterbacks, Daniel Jones shouldn't have never got that fucking money. No, they could have traded for Russell Wilson. No, now they're ready to get rid of him.
He turned them down. That's the other thing. He turned the Giants down twice, which is crazy. He turned them down the initial trade, but
it's just it's just funny how I see that. We expect the quarterback to win the Super Bowl in year 2. It's like, man, why he's weak? He ain't no good. Damn, look at the system. Look at the system. You gotta nurture the quarterback.
They not nurturing them, and then I want to say as early back as trying to think of it. Carson Palmer, I'll go back to there when he was drafted. Guys were still drafted to sit. You were not just going to sit there
Right.
and just be like, hey, we're going to play this guy right off the bat. It wasn't until these times did you do it. And even in some of those situations, those guys were thrust in that situation. And I think what it goes back to, Trey Ferg, is this. If you want a quarterback to be successful, you got to give them the tools to be successful. And I'll tell you what, a quarterback that has a situation to be successful, we were just lauding all the different things the Bears had done. And we were like, hey, what if they give Justin Fields that? Now they're going to give that to Caleb Williams. They're going to give him DJ Moore, who's a true number one. They're going to give him Keenan Allen, which is a 1B, a level player. A young tight end and Cole Kmet. Like you said, they still got that, was it the 9th pick to get the offensive line right. They added a safety. They re-signed their corner. They have Montez Sweat on the defensive side of the football. So you gotta give them the assets to do it. So now if he has a decent year, but they don't win enough, you go get a new offensive head coach and you give him that. Now I would, that's likely what happened, because I will say his job is probably still on the line. I wouldn't do it, but his job just might be on the line. But it's one of those deals you got to give a guy what he needs. Look at on the flip side of it, look at what Bryce Young didn't get. They traded away, which was the dumbest thing. You traded away Moore, you kept Burns, you lost them both. You got minimal, you got some picks for it, but now Bryce was throwing Adam Thielen, who's past his prime. You signed Miles Sanders for him. He didn't have enough weapons to make it work. Now he's got a few, but it's just like now you've already had that stain of that first year, him just getting beat up. And what you don't want to do is the poster board for that. You don't want David Carr. You don't want a David Carr, your quarterback. Sorry, son. I know it's that's a rough one, because it was like he had the ability, and they just let him get just.
I think when David Carr, when he left the Texans to go to the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants.
I think it's one of the first times you actually seen a starting quarterback feel so comfortable being a backup. He said, man, I'm chilling now, man. I think he won a ring when he went there too. He won a ring with the Giants. They call him the Super Bowl champion, David Carr. I'm like, he didn't do nothing but hold his ring before. But he looked comfortable because, yeah, man, and you saw what what's his name, Andrew Luck.
I saw coming in the chat. Alexander X, you said that Fields will be traded again. He's eager to start. I don't believe that, because I think the Wilson trade already happened before he got traded. Like, he was there a few weeks. For him to voluntarily go there, I think it's more so of he wants to go to the right situation. I don't see him eager to start. Eager to start would be Kenny Pickett, who's eager to start, and then he was still a backup behind Hurts. And it's like sometimes these guys overplay their hand, and they think just because I'm a quarterback, and I want to say Dominique Foxworth says this all the time because he worked at NFLPA. He's like, quarterbacks, sometimes they act like they're not still football players, and that they're above it. And then every now and again, the owners will remind them, no, you're still in a football player. Get in line like the rest of the 53. And I think that's what happened with him in this situation.
Well, I think with Pickett, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Bennett, when they originally told him about them seeking out Wilson, he was saying he was cool with it. And then after the Wilson trade happened, all of a sudden he went a complete 180. And he was just like,
I didn't hear that necessarily.
I forgot where I read that at.
Yeah, going into the offseason, it was clear saying he was going to be number one. The thought process is they were going to try to re-sign Mason Rudolph and possibly get a vet in. I think as soon as the Russell Wilson talk got serious, and I think it all changed at that point. But he was already exhibiting, even towards the end of the last season, there was some controversy about when he was out because of the injury. But they decided to go with the hot hand of Mason Rudolph. He didn't want to be the backup to Rudolph in an upcoming game, even though he was cleared healthy to play. So there were already some issues already kind of coming out, but I think they tried to squash it. But once the Russell Wilson talk got serious, I think he was already sending overtures that he'd rather be in a different place. So I don't think he would have been comfortable with being a backup in that situation.
Yeah, they shipped him out there and picked up, I think, a better quarterback.
Yeah, like I said, and like I said, they moved up 32 spots. I'm sorry, 22 spots in that they went from third round pick 120 to 98. So so they definitely improved their stock, significantly.
So wanted to switch gears a little bit. Actually, hell, switch sports. I know we were talking about football.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to switch it to basketball. I'm over here watching this March Madness game. We'll get to that one.
Right.
But one debate I was hearing over the past week or so. So currently, you have LeBron James and Steph Curry as basically the face or the faces of the NBA currently. You know, before LeBron James, it was, I guess you could say, Kobe. Kobe was the face. Well, really, before LeBron James, majority of the faces, Kobe, Jordan, all of them, they was basically known for what they did on the court. They didn't really They didn't really talk to them outside of commercials. They would, they'll be starring in from time to time. You didn't really hear their opinions on other stuff. It was just basically basketball.
Right.
Then when LeBron came, it didn't change because of the climate we live in now. LeBron is literally, face of the NBA in basketball, but then he also he's damn near a shield because of social action stuff. So especially the people who think on the other side, any other player can do something, they'll ignore them. Let LeBron make a comment. All of them will start throwing darts at LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
And they do the same with Steph. So now, because of that, I believe now the face is because this society, basically this country now has been so divided, it's no longer you just be a face about basketball. Like if you if you want to keep up with the face like you did with the previous players, the face is basically going to be now a face of the game and a face of the shield.
You're going to be
a lot of players don't have that.
Yeah.
A lot of players don't want that. They don't want. I'm just a basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to off the field topics, and sometimes they'll be looking for you to make a comment, and they're like, and it's usually the other players who will talk, but they're not on their level. They may be a role player, but they don't mind speaking out. But again, they won't get the attention like a LeBron or a Steph do because they such out front with it. So I was trying to see who will be the face after them two.
Right now, the NBA is going to be in the gray area once LeBron and KD and Steph, all them start.
No.
I mean, it's
who the face is.
Wait a minute. There's some young, good players as far as basketball. Hold on. There's some young, good players as far as basketball. But the representation, and this is where I think you can see the difference in the maturity of players. Because a lot of players don't really give a damn about what's going on within the communities. They come, they do camps or whatever, but the message still has to be better, do better, protect yourself. You know what I'm saying? And you like he said, during that time, shut up and play. A lot of players have understood, and I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna play. Now it's a difference once you get out of the league and stuff, you're not relying on that NBA money, because the NBA will lock you out.
Mm.
You say the wrong thing at the wrong time, they will lock you out.
Right.
Players understand that, and I can understand their position that they're in, and we ain't making NBA money, so we can even say, man, I wouldn't do that shit. Shit. That's 60 million looking at you. You be like, look, mama, what your mama and them looking at you, your grandmama and them like, nigga, if you don't take this little money, shut your ass up. I told you about talking back anyway. But that's the difference of, lifestyles. LeBron James, you can see that he had some character upbringing. He wasn't just a wild out, like going with the flow type of guy. He's been married for the majority of his career. You ain't really heard nothing until they saw the little white girl feeling on his muscles. That's what they do to us when they close. They want to touch that shit. Their first time, LeBron feels strong. Okay. And we making a big deal of it. But Morant, I think he could have been that guy. But you see, that fizzled quick.
Right.
Edwards, a lot of those guys, their behavior off the court is what's going to keep them from being the face. NBA ain't going to make no wild-ass dude the face of the NBA. Now, what I can see is, and you've seen it over the last 4 or 5 years, the NBA will have a foreigner at the face of the NBA. Joker, Luka.
Well, I see Alex, he mentioned that in the comments too. But think about it, they don't want it. Joker don't want to be no face.
Joker
doesn't
want to be.
He loves his
Because they're gonna play for their national team. They're gonna play. They kind of want to go along and get along. And I'll say this: there's gonna be guys that are he's not a big enough star, but Jaylen Brown is a guy that he's high. I want to say he's high level in the NBA PA. I mean, I'm talking about Jaylen Brown from the Celtics. He's vocal about social issues. But he's not, like I said, he's not somebody that's at the star level to be there. Jason Tatum is at the level of ability of a player to be the face, but he's boring. He's boring. He's not sellable enough. He's supposed to be boring.
No, but you don't. You're supposed to have some type of personality. Somebody, I will say that I was watching last night that he has the potential to be the face of the league, and as an American-born player, is Anthony Edwards. He just had that monster dunk that he came and did. And my thing is, from his game, he's new school where he does shoot the threes, but he's trying to get to the cup. He's trying to put you under the rim. He's the guy that's trying to attack. And I think a guy like that, the only problem he has now, not really a problem because he plays in Minnesota, and we don't do things like we used to do, where it's like you got to be in the big markets, because Kevin Durant had as many advertisements as anybody in Oklahoma City. But I would say if he did go to a bigger market, that would help him. But
his play on the field, his play on the court really could put him in that guy. It could put him in his spot. But it's more than just that. Is they looking at character now. The NBA is different than it was before you.
No, they look at for sure.
Yeah, because the player who was on the rise to be that, as far as basketball, it was John Morant. Before all that stuff happened, his play on the court was getting the attention. But again. That's like the past. That's like the past. It just faces of the league was basically done from their performance on the court. Since LeBron and Steph, you can't say that anymore. Now the face of the league is, like I said, it's a shield. Yeah, like they're gonna be looking at you because everything is so outspoken now. You got to have opinions about certain stuff. And like I say, I think they're gonna peel back on that. Well, it depends. I don't know if the NBA controls that. That's like the general public. If something happened, they're gonna look for you to make a comment.
Yeah, I mean, the press is definitely gonna drive it.
What you say, you're gonna have all type. I don't know if y'all seen that movie 300 when they was in there and they shot all them arrows at them. They had to. Yeah, you gonna be looking like that. You got to put the shield up and just block all of it. They're gonna we're gonna block out the sun.
Block out the sun. Yeah,
because they go. That's how they are. That's how today's NBA is.
Yeah, I think.
And one more thing, that's how the NBA and I see KP just made a comment about the NBA is too liberal.
Yes,
they want to speak more. So when you speak more, you're gonna get a lot of attention from.
But the thing is that, they haven't suffered any for their liberal view. I mean, it's still as far as growth of the sport and fandom and whatnot, is still very much up there. So they haven't, with all the stuff that's taken place since George Floyd and all that, they haven't taken
the China situation. They have recovered from that China situation. That was it was looking real ugly.
Yeah, and that was again totally separate from the game. But I will say this about certainly LeBron. I mean, I think the league is certainly going to miss LeBron. You haven't seen or heard an athlete really. You talk about going back to the '60s when you had that core, where you had Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, and Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. When you had those guys, that was the last time where you really had athletes that were really advocates in sports. There was a dead spot for so many years. In fact, there was a famous book that came out. William Rhodes came out called The $40 Million Slave. And really, LeBron was like really the first one. And I don't think he was necessarily, he wasn't even, I think he was more almost thrust into it more so than anything, because again, it was when the young brother got deleted in Florida.
Like Brown,
that was the first time. Like it was so, because a lot of guys Jordan took a pass. Jordan was like, Republicans buy sneakers. And so
and I'll say this, even LeBron
passed that buck. And it was LeBron who, really gave, voice to have athletes now to be able to speak up about things. The thing that I'm seeing now, that's guys are speaking out, but they're not necessarily speaking out for, let's say for general causes. Like you hear guys talking, like Kyrie Irving, he'll speak, but it's more like on conspiracy theory. The earth is flat. and you know,
See,
certain
they
you know
shut
that,
him
that
up.
documentary that was out and all. I'm saying, so guys, I think
They
for a
shut
minute
him
they got
up.
vocal about, you know, just what they, you know, what they believed. But, you know, as far as being there for, you know, significant issues, it's still mostly been LeBron and Steph and maybe a handful of guys in the league. And to your earlier point, I mean, yeah, you had guys like, I remember the guy Craig Hodges who played for the Bulls,
Yeah.
those Jordan teams. He was vocal, but he was Craig Hodges. He was coming off the bench, basically.
Like real quick, let
He
you go,
wasn't
Dante.
committed. You know,
George
and
Hill was the one who gave, you know, when the Bucks sat out that during that time in the bubble.
yeah,
George Hill started that, but you didn't
Mhm.
hear nothing about George Hill because he's
Yeah.
not on their level. So
yeah.
But,
So I'm saying we're
but
gonna
George Hill
we're gonna
ain't
miss
in the league
LeBron
no
and
more.
Steph
He-
certainly when they're gone. And I don't know if you're gonna get another voice, because you talk about it was like, so basically it's 50 years between Bill Russell and LeBron James. And I you know, who knows how long it's going to be before you get a guy who's going to be out there that vocal, but again, vocal for the right reasons, not for the wrong stuff, not for some Instagram stuff. I mean, who's the player now who's getting run because he's dating that older
it's a
woman,
weight to carry.
had a baby with an older
Jalen Green.
yeah. So I mean, you're hearing more stuff like that now from players than anything that's like substantive, you know. So again, the point that again, LeBron, at least his image anyway, married his high school sweetheart, got his sons, you know, on he checks off. He's almost like Derek Jeter. I mean, in terms of being able to check off all these boxes and be like, you know, you really don't hear any major scandals with him like that. And so again, those players are not a dime a dozen. And I think, you know, having the one, I don't think you've had enough to kind of, you know, spur that. Okay, there's going to be a movement from now on that players are going to be more, you know, as a collective speaking out when it comes to certain things, or unless something major, something urgent hits the fan like it did with the Floyd situation.
It'll still be LeBron and Steph who'll be talking.
Yeah, and I'll say this: it's been a process for them, and then with LeBron being basically on the platform his entire career since his junior year in high school, kind of being on the national scene. But even LeBron has had missteps where it was like the Tamir Rice situation happened in Cleveland, and he was kind of like he was kind of jammed up. He's like, I got to get more information about it, and it's kind of like that. I think they're trying to get into the usher of that. The league wants to get a handle on it and the handlers, and then they kind of come out with the thing like when the Heat, they all wore the hoodies in the picture, and then like Mike Miller, you know, was the only white people on the team, you know, was not pictured because he was like, yeah, it's not a good look. We're gonna, you know, and it's kind of more orchestrated. I think they're moving towards that. I want to say everybody had the I Can't Breathe shirts, but like they say, when it came to All-Star weekend, they was like that was kind of done. And it's kind of like it's a fight for the league because you want more ratings, but the only way, you know, sometimes they think the way to get more ratings is to be completely neutral. And so the way some people have said it, I was just like, I understand what y'all are saying, but you have a league where one player can control so much. And so when you have that, you have a players union that's controlled by the bigger plays, the star players. So if they want to speak on something, they're going to, even if it's at the detriment to make some of the fans uncomfortable. And they're just like, hey, I want to escape. So I think that it's on the league to see which path do you want to go. You don't want to silence guys, but then some people were really turned off by the bubble with the Black Lives Matter on the back of the jerseys.
Right.
For me, hey, look, I don't give a damn if they was offended.
Right.
You know, that's my.
But it was like a bunch of stuff happening, like all between the I'm sorry, who's the brother who was deleted in Florida, the young
Trayvon
Martin. Then you also had the Clippers owner.
Yeah, the hoodie. The
Right.
Clippers owner.
A couple years
ago.
So it was like just a bunch of circumstances that just kind of happened within a short period of time where guys I think felt them.
You had to say something. You had to.
But if you look at
not say anything.
So look at the last 20 years in the NBA. Well, who's the one player that most of these players admired early in their life? LeBron James. A lot of these players in the league now were kids when LeBron James got into the league. Yeah. And he's impacted the league in that capacity for the younger generation. Us old heads, we all know who the man was, Michael Jordan. He had these white boys and these old heads jumping up out of their street sheets, screaming like women when he was in this prime. And he was that man because it's like outside of basketball, you could see the fight in the competitive nature in Michael Jordan. You know, they was talking about him owing $50,000-$60,000. Michael Jordan, shit, he was making $400,000 or $500 million at the time. What are he gonna bet you $5, $20? He's betting 10, 20 racks. You know what I'm saying? That's pocket change to him. But as far as his stature, Michael Jordan understands that if he wants to continue that dynamic, he's not going to step in any political realm at all. He's going to stay away from any conscious fallout in the community.
Yeah, but I mean, when's the last time you saw, again, you had athletes endorse like a candidate? Like they stumped 2016, they stumped for Hillary Clinton. I mean, LeBron got out there on state, so again, those kind of things. I don't know if you're going to see as many guys doing that, but again, that goes back to again the '60s. Rosie Greer, got on the RFK campaign. I mean, so again, that kind of. I think guys are definitely going to be a bit more cautious going forward. But again, you're just not going to have too many guys who are going to be that bold. I think we're going to go into another dark period where guys are just going to, work more behind the scenes. They'll support you on the side or whatever, but they're not going to be all in front with it because it just becomes too much, especially with social media. It becomes too much of a distraction.
Yeah,
they'll attack you before you get home. They'll be done attack you and said you was a fucking alcoholic and you did all this crazy stuff before you get home. So,
like I say now, man, being the face of the league now is so much like we haven't seen a player, take the stances like they do today since what they call it, the Cleveland Four, since those dudes. So hey, all the players that came and that Cleveland Four, that's what he said, Jim Brown, Bill Russell,
Muhammad Ali, Kurt Flood, it was that thing
about it. And what's the name? They invited O.J. Simpson to come back because O.J. Simpson at that time was hot. USC.
Yeah,
he declined, and the rest is history.
But it's interesting because years later, you had I think Jim Brown. He was on Arsenio Hall show, the I guess the reboot of the show. And he had said, look, if I was going to have another session like we did back in '67, we got those guys together, I wouldn't invite Kobe. So that was like a big slap in the face to Kobe and whatnot because, he didn't think that Kobe was necessarily sort of with it, so to speak. So it would have been interesting.
He was certainly following in the footsteps of just kind of going in and all the athletes after Jordan, they learned from him. It was just like, nah, as much as he's emulated the game, emulated it off the court as well.
Yeah.
So it's just like, nah, he had every right to say that. He did. So I respect Jim on that.
I see probably he had a comment why we looking for athletes to be and entertainers to be outspoken for social issues. It's not the fact we're looking for them. It's just the reality of today. In the past, faces, and I'm just because it's a little bit different in NFL and football and baseball, but in basketball, in the past, majority of the faces, and that's basically Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Dr. J, Bird and Magic. They were the faces of the league, but it was basically strictly on their own court play. They became famous, and the league was just marketing them because of their own court play. When it changed during LeBron's career and Steph's career, when it was no longer about on court play, it's because the society we in now, and a lot of stuff just happened during their playing career. When things happened, they spoke out about it, and ever since then, they get a lot of arrows shot at them, especially for people on the other side. So now it's like to the point where you can tell. It's not like I don't even think NBA fans, the face of the league is somebody who is in front, and whenever they speak or something, they get attention from everybody. Basketball community, outside the basketball community. And right now, it's only two players that do that right now. That's Steph and LeBron. Like I said, we were talking about George Hill was the one who started that Milwaukee Bucks and the NBA ultimately sitting out those games in a bubble. Craig Hodges, y'all brought him up. They weren't, I guess,
they weren't the guys. They weren't the guys at the top.
Now, nobody discredited what they did. Nobody discredited what they did, but as far as the outside opinion, they wasn't getting that. Hell, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, when he was just praying to himself when he converted to, wanted to keep his Muslim, and he got X out the league. He just disappeared, but nobody really said nothing about him, and he wasn't really doing it to get no attention. But yeah, it just comes with the territory now, unfortunately, because no longer about the game. Because if anybody else speak, nobody will listen. But as soon as LeBron and Steph, now they got to the point, it was as soon as they speak on anything not basketball related, they gonna get all type of attention from everybody.
Right.
So that's what a face is now. That it converted over to that, because a face is basically somebody, and both LeBron and I think Steph is probably approaching it. Because I got this scale. There's star, and then there's superstars, and then there's icons.
Yeah.
LeBron, MJ, Kobe. I'm over here choking. They icons. Steph.
Yeah, because even the way he does it, he's definitely a bit more. He's more quiet. He's not the most vocal person or likes necessarily to be interviewed. So it's a difference. It's also your presence. I think that's one of the reasons. Again, I agree. I don't think we're necessarily looking for that, but you certainly appreciate it when it happens. I think that's a reason why Ali, for example, has been so revered over the decades and years. Even guys who never even saw him. But if you just go YouTube and just watch Ali and just the things he would talk about, you didn't necessarily agree with everything that he said. But just for an athlete to be so bold and so good at the same time, it was like could you imagine Ali with social media today? I mean, what that would look like. I mean, it would be insane. So again, it's rare, but I think that's one of the reasons why some of these guys are revered. Beyond the sport that they participated in.
And I think another thing is about the game being my last point on it. The game being more international. They have made Victor Wembanyama to be the face of the NBA. And so I was listening to a podcast and they were like, did you notice who interviewed him when he got drafted? Robin Roberts. She hasn't been affiliated with ESPN NBA in a long time.
Yeah.
That is Good Morning America. So they was just like, we're going to get the host of Good Morning America to come get him. He's producing the numbers that are as high as or higher than the totals for LeBron. So he's going to win the Rookie of the Year in a landslide. They putting him up there for Defensive Player of the Year, but I know how the NBA works. They're not going to let the rookie get that. They're going to probably give it to one of the other contenders on the list, just because as far as impactful for defense, you should at least be winning games. That's not his fault that they're that bad, but I think that's going to be the international side of the face of the league. They're going to get him to talk and make sure the English is on point. But the other problem is the Lukas, the Jokic's, as far as them being the faces in the international part, they're at home in the summertime. The American ball players are here. They might travel, but they're here. They're at another big thing of it is who's going to be the guy that when they show up at the Pro-Am game what's the one in California? The real pop. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head. But because they don't really, the Rucker's not like that anymore. But they go to the Pro-Ams inside.
You talking about the Drew League?
Drew League. There it is. When they show up to the Drew League, who's all gonna pack into the gym? When LeBron does it, like he said, face of the league, they're like, it's a mob. It is a cool mob. Like back in the day when Kobe went to Rucker, it was like you might as well the president might have been coming through there.
Victor
who's the guy that's gonna do that?
Victor go do that same thing. He's a phenom. Victor's gonna do the same thing. He's 7 foot, man. Listen, when they put that weight on him, put them 15, 20 pounds on him, he's gonna be unstoppable. Because he still can shoot the ball. His defense is gonna be great.
Amazing.
And shit, what else? What he gonna average double figures in rebound? He gonna get you. And San Antonio ain't gonna always be at the bottom like they are.
No, with a player like that, and their player development with their guys, you're gonna look up, and in 3 years, they're gonna be either at the play-in or making the playoffs, and they'll be back in the rotation for national games because I want to see them. Like it's
be better.
What do you say?
As soon as Pop retires, they'll be better.
I think Pop ain't got too much time left. I don't think he does.
Pop just want to stay on that sideline. I'm surprised he's still coaching. I know, after his wife passed away, that I guess that's his main thing.
It's the only thing to keep him going.
He gonna walk away when
I
he
guess
wants
something
to.
similar to Monty Williams up there in Detroit. I don't know how they could do it, but if they keep some action.
For that $3 million, you'll do it.
Hey man, Pop, he probably he can retire from San Antonio.
Yeah,
And
he can
probably still
retire.
get paycheck. Hell, he
gonna
probably
be able
go
to walk
everywhere in
away.
San Antonio, for free.
His job is never in jeopardy. He can go. He can win 5 games.
He's the president as well. I believe.
Yeah, he's in the front office, and he signed an extension, but the extension wasn't just for coaching; it's for when he phases into the front office part. I see he gives Victor at least one more year, probably 2, because he probably wants to get a little bit of taste of being in the postseason again, and then with the wins, more accolades, all that kind of stuff. But I am ready to see them transition and see what they do with somebody else coaching.
Pop on that Pat Riley route. He basically following Pat Riley. That's basically what he's doing.
Exactly.
Let me see how.
What we got next? We got another topic.
We have
got
another
the
one.
March Madness coming up.
The topic out, and look like we're getting shorter. Yeah, we got March Madness. My only thing about March Madness because today is only it's still the first 4.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was just watching this Grambling, and Grambling pulled it off in overtime.
Shout out to Grambling.
So
Shout out to
he's in the building.
baby.
now the game yesterday, I missed because I was doing something. I missed the Hampton versus I forgot who they was playing, but that Colorado State, Virginia,
Snooze fest.
Man,
Virginia, and they've been like this for a while. They are a boring team to watch because they offense is always just so sluggish.
Yeah,
and then also they finished the first half with 14 points.
Yeah, 14.
And I was like, man, y'all.
Yeah, it was a snoozer. I mean, one question I did have about, again, I'll be honest, I haven't followed a lot, especially with the foot. Now it's weird. Now with the football season being so spread out, just given with the trades and everything. I mean, to me, that's been much more exciting about the trade moves going on than the basketball games themselves.
Well, that's how football did it. That's
yeah. So it's like it's definitely like I really never had a football off season because I just kept rolling in, and especially with the moves that the Steelers have been making. I haven't been as locked in on the college basketball as I did. Now I know every year there's always someone who gets gets hosed. You know what I mean? I mean this year, and shout out, and again it's interesting because I'm me and Troy Ford, we go back to the 80s, so we're like Big East basketball. Yeah, Georgetown, St. John, Syracuse, Pittsburgh, Providence. And all these Big East teams got snubbed. Pittsburgh got snubbed, even though they had an API ranking of 40. Yeah, in St. John's, they had a ranking of 32 on the API. Providence got hosed. So you got those guys sitting out, but then you got teams like Virginia that are getting in. And so the question I'm having is, I know now they're using a lot of metrics, they got like something like 31 to 32 different data points that they're using in the decision-making process. But at the end of the day, you still got 10 guys in the room who are making a call in terms of who gets in and who gets out. So my question is it time maybe at this point, since it's not going anywhere, is it now time that maybe we should start using something like AI to start making these decisions about who gets in and who gets out? So you put all that criteria in, they're spitting it out, but it's still someone says, I know what the number's saying. I know St. John's is a 32 ranked on the API going in. And I know they got all these quad 1 wins and all this kind of stuff, but I'm still going with this team. If you want to eliminate that, then do we need to go to some sort of AI to make the decision that that takes it out of hand of these guys? And you just don't know what the agendas are. But it just seems kind of specious. But it happens every year. Like I said, every year, a certain amount of teams, 4 or 5 teams get snubs. I don't want to see the tournament go to 80 teams or 84 teams. That I don't want. I think that the 2 weeks is enough. You already put the playing games for the 68. That's more than enough. I know this isn't college football where it made sense to go from 4 to 8 or the 12 or wherever they're going with it. But is it time that we start using some of the tech to really start making these calls and getting it out of the hands of these committees? Because you still get the sense that it's just a lot of guys in a smoke-filled room just making these decisions who goes in, and it's not always necessarily for teams that are deserving of it.
Well, I was just looking when you were saying that, it's currently 350 Division I basketball schools. So
Yeah.
you try and especially in basketball, when they have this, they can win their respective. That's a whole nother thing to me though. How they can win their respective conference tournaments and get an automatic bid. But you can finish. You can go through the. Like I remember Prairie View several years ago. They finished the regular season one, but they lost in the tournament, and that it made their regular season pretty much useless. But you have all of these different respective conference tournaments going on, so I don't really know how you can narrow down that many schools. Cause I believe in college football, I think it's like 117.
Mm-hmm.
But in basketball, as you can see, it's damn near triple. And, I think even if you put in an AI, I don't know how you could put in a formula or whatever to.
Well, like I said, they're using formulas now. Like I said, there's 32 or 33 data points that they're using right now to come up with these rankings. Again, based on your strength of schedule, based on, again, they have these different quadrants. Like quad 1 is like, your home record against a top 30 team, your home record against a away record against a top 70 team. So they have all this stuff. So I'm saying you could rank them 1 to 68 in an algorithm, and that would I think that would take a lot of it out of it. But it's still like a lot of these guys are saying, even though I know that these the data points are saying this team is deserving, you still have some of these guys in the room saying, no, I think this team, again, Virginia, I mean, I can't see why they should even sniff the tournament. But they're in where a team like Pittsburgh's out, St. John's, with that history. And again, should your name mean something? I mean, St. John's,
it does.
Perennial
program. And then you got Rick Pitino as the head coach, even though he's had some controversies. But again, this is a multi-time national championship winning coach. I mean, some other criteria should be added here. But if these guys can't get it right in the rooms, and then on top of that, what it's also doing is it's killing the NIT, because a lot of these teams, they're like, we're not even playing, because it's no benefit to an established program. In fact, I even heard today that they're saying that they've been thinking about maybe the NIT should be solely for mid majors, but it does St. John's, it doesn't do Pittsburgh or Providence, D1 programs. It does them no good to play in the NIT tournament. And what if you lose? So St. John said, look, we didn't even win our NIT tournament, and we're screaming that we should have been in the NCAA tournament. So you're not even helped then either. So again, if teams, you're mid-major, no one really hears about you or whatever, get a lot of these HBCU teams in there, whatever, and just let them, have at it. And it's almost like a Division II championship or Division 1A championship. Let those guys go. But now that you're devaluing the NIT anyway by a lot of these teams saying, look, we're not, you snubbed this, we're not even going to play in the NIT. When that was almost like a given, you just wanted you guys to keep playing. But now with NIL and guys looking to go into the portal and whatnot, it's not an advantage. So they're going to have to change something up on the NIT anyway if they want to keep it relevant.
Yeah, I think they should change it, but I just think there's always, and definitely when I would say, would you say in Trey Berg and Mr. Bennett, would you say guys in the 80s and the 90s that it was a better college basketball product?
Oh, 100%.
And there were better teams?
100%. Number one, because again, guys stayed for the most part. They stayed for 4 years. Again, in the mid 80s, you had the Hoya Paranoia. You had, with Patrick Ewing and those boys. You had Villanova. You had St. John's, Mark Jackson. I mean, those guys. And you had rematches. That's the thing. You look forward to the rematch. It wasn't the one and done sort of thing. And obviously, they weren't making the kind of money. I mean, NBA players back in the 80s, they were making $250,000 and up. That was the starting salary. So it made sense for you to stay in. There was no D League. There was no, Euro League really wasn't a major option for a lot of players. So yeah, you got a chance to enjoy. You saw rivalries when you saw Georgetown, St. John's, or one of those, or even like Duke Carolina. I mean, think about it. You had Jordan and James Worthy and those guys going up against Duke all those years. I mean, so I think college basketball, because of the current landscape, it's just not good. You got the one and done, and you got the NILs, and so it's hard to have those kind of rivalries where you have those matchups like that.
Yeah.
In the 90s, you had UNLV and Duke went back to back.
And see, I remember a good portion of it, but basically the bulk of my watching years, like one of my favorite teams was that UMass Marcus Camby team, and it was just like so you got that. And my point of that is, do you think that those teams had better people that were left out of the 64 than this? I feel like this is, as a watered down product, some of this is crying just to. It is a standard thing where I know he's got cancer, so he can't do it as much anymore. One of my favorite things to do was to see the bracket come out and then hear Dickie B. Oh my gosh, they robbed it. That was one of my favorite things to do, because sometimes I felt that team, and I felt like that's just part of the game. I felt like I want AI as least as possible. And what you said made me think about the BCS and how many times this team was clearly deserving to be in the championship game, and they left them off. And it creates a certain amount of rage, and it makes you kind of be like, I want to see what they're going to do next year. The only problem is now some of those teams, so many guys are going to leave. So
you're going to see a lot more parity in the college games. You're going to see it over the next 4 or 5 years.
You've already seen it, because you get guys that transfer a couple of different times, and you see your teams that are winning, they have guys that are veterans that have played for years versus the guys with the one and done. Like, I really feel like you have to get a one and done here or there, but you need guys that have been in your program or transfer from other programs that know how to play basketball and know how to win.
But listen, it's not even that. It's easy. It's all the money grab now. You get the money. That's why you can transfer. You go into the highest bidder. If you're a top player, you get the money. You're seeing it even more prevalent in the women's game. The women will stay. Now they got a reason to stay. The guy, you listen. It depends on how much money you want to make or how you want to do it. You stay in college, you get your fucking 4-year degree. Make sure you fucking graduate. Get your $300, $400, $500 million, $2 million. While you're in college, you have no student debt. You graduate. You go to the NBA. Maybe you make it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you go to the G League. Maybe you go overseas. Whatever. But you can live the life that y'all talk about all the time on somebody else's dime. And with your college degree, it makes you a professional. It puts you in a different bracket. Most of these guys who you see on these TV analysts, most of those guys are college graduates. Once they get the degree is when they take them into that next level.
Yeah. That's
why you say Gilbert Arenas in over Vertonghen. He ain't got no college degree. He just play basketball. So if you get your degree, and that's the benefit of today, I think it's gonna be more parity, because now there's no. I'm gonna stay 4 years. I'm gonna get $500,000, $1 million. You see what they're getting out there. They're getting millions. I mean, you got your top tier teams, but shit, even one AA, your ass can get $200,000-$300,000. You'd be a fool to leave school unless you're just chasing money. But that should have run out.
But it's interesting what you're saying, though, about, you mentioned the women's game. Honestly, I don't think I've been this interested in the women's game or the rivalries in probably the last 5 or 6 years than I am now. More so, I'm looking forward to South Carolina playing, I think, the last year's champion, Staley in that rematch, more so than any team that I can recognize in the.
And it's criminal. They put Iowa and LSU in the same bracket.
About to say,
that was just bad.
Really had a hell of a Final Four on that women's side.
Yeah. Like I'm not gonna lie. I'm locked in, and I will say this: that's helped the women's a lot. When UConn was so dominant, and then there's already fewer upsets in the women's game, but it was so dominant. But I remember Iowa being upset when I first found out about Caitlin Clark, and I was like, "Oh, they got upset." And so you watching it, and it's just like last year that championship game, and that, man, I want to say that that Final Four game, the first game, it was intense, and it's like, it's some good ball, and it's just like, I'm glad that the women's game is continuing to grow.
Poppy, shut up, man.
Great. I mean, Poppy over there, he really really talking big, man. But I know
the women's game. I mean, when's the last time you saw? I mean, that brawl that happened week ago. When's the last time you saw a women's collegiate game in a brawl? I mean, it's like these women are like they playing for something now.
They heat it up. They heat it. They
the
know.
coaches
Well,
themselves
I know some of them will get more outspoken.
that LSU coach, she's a trip, man.
Now,
she's gangster. Straight.
She wild. Like it's
straight up
sir.
They got and it's like they got personalities with the coaches. They got personalities with the players. It's really a moment. They got, and it's not over because they got Juju Watkins over there at USC. Like that young lady's a freshman. It's like the women's game is in good shape.
And you see,
and I can't wait to see both.
But you see these sisters starting to style out. I mean, Staley, she be coming out with designer stuff on women.
Man, look.
They're not like Pat Summit back in the day.
No, they ain't. They're Pat Summit.
These coaches are glam. They coaching in heels. They doing whatever.
And what's crazy is we've done all this talking. We have not brought, other than me saying when UConn dominated, we have not brought them up as far as them being a sleeper or anything. And they still got paid. They still got Paige buckets. You know what I'm saying? They still got some ballers over there. So like, man, I'm mad. Like I hate I'm gonna be in the office tomorrow because that's one of my favorite days. It's just nonstop. It's 9 o'clock. It's like I don't care. It's another game.
That first round of just madness. I'm telling you. Get the before we head out. Download that Capital One March Madness app.
Capital One March Madness.
And you can see they literally have all the games now. You got to tie it to your current TV provider. But you got to put all the games in one app. Oh, you just click on it.
Yeah, awesome. I'm good. This is a great show tonight.
Man.
We'll see. What happens in the coming weeks. Again, next month we got the draft. So again, you got more stuff going. You got March Madness on the women and the men. Sorry, Poppy, I'm gonna be checking out these games when LSU's playing, when Staley's playing. I'm watching these games. Sorry, bland chicken. So be it. But I think lately that it's definitely getting spicier. They're starting to add a little salt and pepper, to these matchups. Because again, these women got stuff to play for. They possibly can make more money than they can going to the WNBA. How crazy is that?
They do.
You got all these ladies going to Russia. You got going to Russia getting locked up. And so like, look, I might as well stay. So I'm gonna stay in college 4 years. I'm gonna make that money because this might be it.
Brittany Griner could have been making a killing in NIL. They would have had it.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. She wouldn't
have. I'm saying? So I'm definitely gonna be fiending. For it. Now if they change the wardrobe, you know what I mean.
Man, Mr. Vinny, you said that not me.
We already got lingerie football out there. But
they gotta be lingerie, but just a little tighter, Because remember back in the 90s, they followed the men. Like so, men like when Dawn Staley played, they had the baggy they had that Fab Five look. So they had the baggy shorts all the way down to the ankles and all that kind of stuff. So they just have something just a little more attractive. I'm just saying, but hey.
Hey, what's up, Lena?
Appreciate you.
Just checking us out.
Appreciate you.
The ladies in the house. Awesome.
Well, on that note, fellas, because we gotta make room for the next show. But I enjoyed today's show. So
enjoyed it, man.
I think when we meet up again next week, they should at least have the first 2 rounds. We should probably be at the Sweet 16.
No, we're gonna be at the Sweet 16. We'll be at the Sweet 16, and then the official everybody else starting MLB will be next Thursday because I know they had the game. And when I woke up this morning for work, and I was like, "They playing baseball?" I was like, "Crazy!"
Yeah, over.
Crazy.
Sir, baseball season, baby.
Hey man, it never stops.
This is baseball season and training season for all the guys. Get your ass outside and start training. Get ready for it. It's summertime. We're ready going. We in the spring. Get ready. Lose your 20 pounds. Women, get out, work out. Men, work out.
That's what my lawnmower's for.
Open the damn windows in your house. Yeah, let's do it. Other than that, great show, fellas.
All right, man. We got to get out of here.
Cowboys. Great show.
That was the point. We appreciate everybody in the chat. We appreciate y'all. We will catch y'all next week, man. Wonder what.
Guys. Take care.
Peace.
Subscribe now.